Okay, BugeyeBob back here at you one more time. This week, finally, we're going to put on the inner and outer right-hand sill. Two ways I could do this. I could do it like I did the last one where I used the spot welder and then go back and touch up holes with the MIG, or I can just drill holes and put in plug welds. Now, the spot welder weighs, I don't know, 50, 60 pounds. It's a pain in the ass to try to work around. It tends to burn holes through. Whereas the plug welds, I had two options on that. I could put everything on and then go and plug weld from the inside, which means I gotta turn this thing up and down and around in all sorts of different ways and get in there and creep into everything. Or I could say to hell with it and drill holes from the outside and plug weld from the outside, in which case I can do a lot of it with it like this, or turned up with the car and another, I don't know, 45 degrees, 22.5 degrees, what the hell ever. So based upon all the holes that you see in this puppy, what do you suppose I'm gonna do? Damn straight, I'm gonna take the easy way out. I'm gonna hook up my little Yes welder with 025 wire in it, which they say it can't run, using an 025 drive wheel, which they say won't fit, and crank that puppy up to, I don't know, I think it's 140 amps, 36 feet per minute, and 19.4 volts. And I'm going to plug weld this puppy. So, I might even show you a little bit of it. Not going to be a long video of me doing it. I'll do like I always do. We'll just jump right into it and go full bore, full speed ahead. Hang on, folks. So, I've done a little bit of preliminary welding. For some reason, this joint here, where this rear panel comes in and meets up with the inner sill, it was originally welded along this edge in addition to being spot welded. Why, I don't know, but I've gone ahead and done that and welded this ridge up. I've also treated this and the bottom of this with the cold galvanizing paint. Whether or not the cold galvanizing paint keeps things from rusting in the future, I don't know, but I do know that this inside of these sills is a point where rust likes to happen, so figure it can't do any harm. Moving forward, this is the jacking point. I've welded the jacking point cross member to the inner sill also, and right here you can't see it, but I've welded the inner sill to this inner panel back here. Even though you can't see them, there's actually, well, maybe you can. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 5 places where I've welded the cross member here, and then I've also welded this jacking member too, because if you don't weld it, it's going to wobble back and forth and you end up going to do jacking point breaking. Welded up this piece up here, feathered it in a little bit so it looks a little bit more normal. Now I'm at the point of doing all of these plug welds around this piece. I also got this welded down through here, ground down, treated, so ready to go with the plug welds. So onward and upward. I'm gonna move around on this so I don't get a lot of heat in one area all at once. These I drilled out with a big hole cutter. It's a pain in the ass trying to work them. I hate using something that size to do it, but that's what I had to do. Yeah, this older metal is so thin and rusted that it really doesn't, it burns through real easy. So that's why sometimes you'll see me just doing little pokes at it, and what I'm doing is I'm trying to get enough metal filled in to where I've got something solid that I can weld to. You might be able to see right up in here, there's little holes blown through. Here it's burned out a little bit. This is kind of ugly looking here. So this is buckled a little bit, probably from all the heat I had to put in it. Some of it will draw back down, some of it may draw down when I weld on this outer piece. But I'm going to go through and touch up some of these places. This is cooled down enough I can carry on. Had a real bad blowout up there. That needs touch up. That one might need a little. That needs touch up. Okay, this metal right here, up on the top, that's extremely thin. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to build metal up to it by coming down this way and hopefully getting it to where it will just weld onto this edge right here and not blow out a whole bunch more. That's my plan, and I'm sticking to it. See how well it works. And it looks like to me that we've done it. All right, looks like we got that. Onward and upward. Reach down and swat that like button, pop in a quick comment, and subscribe to this channel. You can help save Lazarus from the scrap bin by making a one-time donation via PayPal or join as a member on Patreon. See the links below. I do believe we're at the point where we find out whether Aaron is right that the grinder and paint makes me the welder I ain't. One thing I can do is I can go through and dolly these down, and that'll spread this out a little bit, and hopefully that'll take out some of the oil canning. We're going to find out shortly. Did all that do any good? Maybe. I don't know. This gets covered by the bonnet. This gets covered by the A-pillar. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Been ground down. Dark gray areas are cold galvanized spray. This up here is still wet. I just literally just got through throwing some on there. The light gray area is regular primer. Basically, I'm using the cold galvanized in any place where it's going to be an enclosed area. So that explains that. As far as these welds here, don't look too closely at them. Sorry, but that's the truth. Just don't look. I'm sure that they're solid as hell, but they aren't pretty. But I suppose with a little bit of spot putty, I could make them pretty. But I don't have anybody to impress, so I guess I'm not going to bother. My concern is make sure that the areas that are going to be enclosed, because this all rotted out. What happens is you've got the windshield frame sits up here, and water will come in around the windshield frame, work down around inside of here, gets trapped down in here, and just rusts every damn thing out. So one of the things I might do, now that I'm thinking about it, is I might actually drill kind of a hole in here so that air can pass from here and have a way of getting in and out. I really think that this should have like a 1 inch wide slot in it. You know, it's like 1.5 inches wide, inch wide, and maybe, I don't know, 1/2 inch high, so that it can get lots of air through here. Of course, the other thing is, you know, supposedly you should have it all sealed up here, but, you know, rubber gets old and seals go bad, so that doesn't work quite so well. This down here looks like it needs to have the cold galvanized put on again. It's obviously a little bit scratched up right in that area. So you'd think there'd be enough heavy metal on, from all of the zinc and the cold galvanized that I put on, this would just kind of roll on down, but it actually doesn't. This side is still light because it doesn't have the outer rocker panel on. So that will be the next step. We're now at the point of getting the outer sill screwed down in place, going through all the little holes that we're going to do the plug welds in, scraping out all of the cold galvanizing material so that we can get a proper weld. So let's carry on with that. And of course I got to get this end and this end out around the outside so that everything fits on right, which of course it doesn't want to do. There we go. Camera died someplace in the process, no idea where, but basically I've gone through and screwed down this outer panel. Now, okay, I've gone through and cleaned all these little holes out with my nifty little tiny bent screwdriver. I put in a bunch more screws because I wanted this pulled down real tight. Started doing it across the bottom. The battery went dead in the screwdriver, the power drill that I'm using to screw it down with. So I'm clamping it down. And I am going to go around and weld these buggers up here now and start along the bottom, and I'll just move the clamps. Oh, that sounds cool. Musical. All right, anyways, that's the plan. I'm sticking to it. Okay, I went through and I got all of the plug welds in. Still have to grind them off, and then I'll have to go back and touch them up because there's always little spots you missed. For some reason, the ones on the bottom I had a lot of trouble with. Even though I cleaned all the holes out, I ended up with an awful lot of spittering and sputtering and stuff blowing back and gobs of steel flying down inside. I was wearing a leather apron and it came inside of the leather. I understand now why welders wear leather jackets zipped up to the neck. Hot sparks flying in, burned the hell out of myself. Big problem on the bottom, not a big problem on the top. And I don't understand why, unless Now I don't understand why, because it was the same coating, top and bottom. It was the same amperage and welder settings and everything. But for some reason, it just was kind of ugly and nasty doing the bottom. The top worked out fairly well. There were a few spots. There's one right there that's kind of nasty. A couple other ones that were a bit problematic. But next step is to grind all that off, touch up any spots that needed to be touched up. I found some over here again that needed to be touched up. And then toss some paint on the puppy. And we will see you when all of that work is done, because you've already seen all of the, I didn't show you the welding here because, shitloads of welding before. So, onward and upward. C'est voila! So all of the plug welds are done down here. They're all done up here. They're all ground down. They're not totally pretty yet. I'll show you what I mean by that. And you'll see that that's not really totally smooth and a little dippy down. I still need to go in through the inside in here and plug weld this panel. There's a piece that goes around like that onto the top of this panel. I didn't get this as tight as I would have liked, but it is what it is, folks. The primer is still pretty soft, so I think we need to let the primer set for a couple of days before I try putting any more spot filler on. That's not a big deal. It doesn't have to be done now. I'd like the next step to be putting in the A-pillars. But in order to put in the A-pillars, you have to have solid doors. And the problem I've got is that my doors need repair. So the next thing I'm going to work on is repairing the doors. And that may be a couple weeks to get done. So I may not put out another video for a couple of weeks. Life gets in the way a lot lately, it seems. Next week I'll be starting in on the doors. They're going to take a lot of work. I've got to build some custom pieces to replace the rusted out ones that are inside the doors right now. And then I've got to redo the bottoms of the doors also. I'll be watching Fitzy Fabrication. Fitzy just did a week or so ago a video about redoing the bottoms of doors and the corners of the doors and things like that. So I'll be going through, paying close attention to that. We'll see what goes on there. I literally got this done as far as all of the welding. And Goozy had over on his channel some great tips on how I should have done it. I had tried scratching out the paint out of where I was going to plug weld with a bent screwdriver. He used a little tiny spot sandblaster to clean off the paint around all of the holes, and it really worked out really good for him. That's how I should have done it. I actually have one of those tiny spot sandblasters. The problem is it's not sitting out in the open where I see it all the damn time, so I missed using it. So check out Goozy's channel. He just put that out within the last week or so. All the usual requests: like, share, comment, subscribe, pass this along to other people. If you see me doing something wrong, I got no pride, people. Just go ahead and say, hey, dummy, you should have done it a different way. And tell us what the way is, because then everybody learns from it. This isn't a channel about how great I'm doing this. I'm into the point now where this is my first rodeo, you could say. I've worked on a 65 Jeep. I worked on an aluminum boat. And there were skills from working on that I brought along to this, along with some other things that I've done in some companies that I worked for. But this resurrection of a rusted out piece of shit is a new and sometimes exciting thing for me. I learned if you are welding and it's putting out a lot of spatter, don't wear a leather apron, because what happens is the stuff comes up and flies down behind the apron and then proceeds to burn holes through the shirt and you. And it's kind of like, why don't you, why do you wear boots that cover up your feet instead of open-toed sandals while you're cutting metal or welding? Because that shit's going to get in, it's going to burn the hell out of you. So that's what's happened. That's what's coming up in the future. And you folks all have a fantastic life. And we will see you next week, or maybe the week after. BugeyeBob, over and out.